It is March 28th. It is day 67 of the Trump presidency. And you're right, I don't need the headphones. I can just use the microphone, which we'll keep using this for the time being. And I'm probably going to have to fiddle with the, controls and stuff. Like, I don't really know what does what. I have that friend who can explain it to me. So I know somebody was saying maybe they wanted it adjusted a little bit. So I'll figure it out, just not tonight. In a little bit of a time crunch, but we'll get through everything. So an appeals court has ruled that Trump can fire the board members of independent agencies. This is not good. It's not good. It's setting precedent, and there are a bunch of cases heading to the courts right now of Trump firing all kinds of individuals. This is, again, the problem is they're using speed to break things, and also sometimes they will win these fights, right? They're basically saying, so the courts came back, it was 2-1 appeals circuit courts that said essentially that it's unconstitutional to say that Trump can't fire who he wants. So I don't know what that means. You know what I mean? I know that they're, in other administrations, they do tend to replace a lot of people with the people they prefer. So, it's fair game to a degree, right? People that are maybe unionized and things like that, that's probably, hopefully a different story. But in these particular situations, it just wasn't. We're not going to win every battle. So yeah, not a great piece of news, but I mean, there's other situations where we're winning, right? And, time is going to tell how much of our law is actually going to uphold itself. And I don't know. We'll see. This is so embarrassing, and he won't stop talking about it, yo. Like, okay, so Trump keeps bringing up the Greenland issue, and telling them that we need to acquire Greenland for our safety. And the excuse he's giving is something to do with shipping or something that China ships nearby. It's insane. It's insane. And I mean, it's just a very thinly veiled excuse for him wanting to take their resources. Greenland is furious, obviously, and it's going to pull the world into a war. You can't just go take a country. You can't. Isn't it insane that we have to say that? It's crazy that we have to say that. This isn't 1600. This isn't the year 1000 AD. You know what I mean? It's just a crazy thing to say out loud. And for some reason, he doesn't seem to understand that. He keeps saying that they should be excited about this and that we're going to protect them and that they should be grateful for the protection of the United States. No one should ever be excited about protection from a narcissist, let me tell you, because it's not protection. He's just going to take what he wants and give you nothing back, or make promises that he will never deliver on. Both, actually. In any case, I suspect that it will never actually happen. I think it's similar to him saying he's going to build the wall, but I also think it's very disorienting for the world to see the United States behaving this way, and to see the president of the United States saying these really, really crazy things is terrifying. Because, I think the world is realizing, oh, we can't just expect this person to be sane. He's not, right? And hopefully, I do think a wider swath of people are starting to understand and realize what they're up against, but unfortunately it's too late because he's in office, right? So the corruption is getting worse, unfortunately. So Elon Musk is on his way to Wisconsin to give $2 million, so $1 million to two separate people for voting. So he basically held a raffle where he said, if you can prove that you voted in the Supreme Court election, he will give away $1 million to 2 different people, like randomly selected people, which probably are not actually randomly selected if we're being honest. And that's totally illegal. So Josh Kaul, I think it's Kaul, is suing him for election bribery. Josh Kaul is the Wisconsin Attorney General. It's, again, this is another situation where, like, he's going to go do it first. Now they're going to have to try to, like, follow it up with legal action that is very slow. And sometimes lawsuits can take a decade. So what the hell will be happening by the time any of this actually has a resolution? Does it even matter at that point? You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know if they can actually, like, put a restraining order on him and block him from doing that. I mean, probably not. And this is why, like, we can't have money in politics in the way that it is. And yes, I know that it's a pipe dream to think that that is going to go away anytime soon, but there are people working on it. People like Ro Khanna, which I know I've mentioned here before. There's people trying. Elizabeth Warren, there's people trying. Is it going to work? No. Bernie Sanders, AOC, I don't know. Probably not. At least I have a little bit of good news. A judge blocked Trump's dismantling of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. It's a temporary injunction. So how long is it going to last? I don't know. We need that fucking agency. It's, you know, again, they're not going to stop. And even when judges are blocking, you know, the stuff, it's being turned around, essentially. So even though that judge forced Trump to give U.S. aid their money back, Trump is now firing almost the entire last remaining staff, which is about 900 people. So they're in the process of firing them right now. They're being told, like, they can't return to work. Some people are trying to ask, can we please work for a couple more months? What's crazy about that is there was just that 7.7 magnitude earthquake in Myanmar that killed over 150 people. I mean, these are like early estimates. I'm sure it's more than that because there's just huge buildings and skyscrapers that have completely collapsed. It's caused a tremendous amount of damage to Myanmar, and Trump is saying that we're going to help them. And people are literally saying, okay, how though? Because you dismantled U.S. aid. Who's going to help these people? We don't have money to do it. You guys took all the money away from these organizations that could have helped in a situation like this. So what are you going to do? And again, like, I'm sure he says stuff, and then he does something else, right? He hires people. He tells them he's going to pay them. He has them build entire buildings for him, and then he just doesn't pay them. So it's not at all unusual or, you know, surprising to think that he is going to tell people that he's going to do something for Myanmar and then just never do it. Ugh. Anyways, so, again, the corruption is just insane. Trump's FCC commissioner, who is named Brendan Carr, is opening an investigation into Disney and ABC for diversity politics. So there's a few things, right? Like, they have a few sort of like sweeping things that they're focused on. They're focused on reinstating racism as quickly as possible. They're focused on scaring the shit out of Black people and brown people, and anyone that supports them is another really important thing, because almost all of the people that have been deported, other than the gang members, have been people that were participating in Palestinian protests and demonstrations. So they're making it really clear, like, if you are not white and Christian in this country, you're not welcome here, and we want you gone. And they're also making it really clear that if you support Black and brown people, or non-Christians, or if you're involved in like organizing if you are outspoken against this administration. We are coming for you. It's a matter of time. They have a list. They're starting at the top with, the people that, again, it's like if you picture a herd of animals, they're picking off the people that they feel are on the outskirts that have the most trouble defending themselves. And then they're going to move inwards. And depending on how long this administration actually lasts, that will be what determines how far inward they get, right? Whether or not they end up coming for people like me. Of course, they're going to come from like the actual media, right? Like they're already doing that. They already have NPR and PBS in court. And they're already like attempting to basically take away any kind of funding that NPR or PBS receive, which, they're like publicly funded. And, they do raise money directly from the public, but they're probably pretty broke. Considering how broke we all are, I can't imagine that they have enough money to actually run a news organization, especially not when news is struggling to begin with, right? Although, I would think that those organizations in some ways might be a little sturdier because it's not just like the shit show, news that Fox has become, or like even CNN. Although I looked at CNN the other day out of curiosity, and they actually are kind of like going hard after Trump again, which is interesting to me. I know that a right-wing billionaire bought the network, but just because someone is Republican doesn't mean, obviously, that they like Trump. And I think a lot of, billionaires that are not in this like particular nerd revenge tech sector with Elon Musk and Peter Thiel, and I can't remember that other guy's name. I already forgot it. But anyways, like the nerds that want to put us into brain vats and like kill us, not every billionaire actually thinks those guys are cool. You know what I mean? Like there's definitely billionaires that are just like normal billionaires that need and want the economy to stay the way it is, that need and want the dollar to retain its value, that probably don't like what they're witnessing, right? Speaking of the dollar retaining its value, Trump is now threatening auto companies, even though he's placing tariffs on all imported automobiles, okay? 25% tariffs. But he's telling auto companies not to raise their prices, which is crazy. Like, how does that work? So you're asking them to eat the cost of the parts that are going to cost them more and to sell that to the public at the same value, which realistically, I do think that profits are out of control. Like a lot of companies think that they need to be making billions and billions of dollars in profits to be profitable, and they're not paying their employees and yada, yada. That's a whole separate conversation. But what I'm saying is, do you really think the shareholders are going to let that happen? They're just going to eat a 25% reduction if they need to like get these parts from, anyways, it's insane. So, I just highly doubt that this is going to go the way that anyone thinks it's going to go, honestly. I don't know what's going to happen to American auto industries or foreign auto operating in America. Some of them might just say, okay, well, we're just going to shut down operations in the United States because it's just it doesn't make sense financially to operate in the United States. And I believe we were already having trouble. The car industry, the last time I knew, couldn't move cars off the lots to begin with. And they were just talking about this on NPR, that there's only like 7 or 8 car models currently available that are $30,000 or under. And that an average car is around $50,000 new off the lot right now. Like, who the fuck? Yes, there's people that can afford it, and there's people that'll finance it, but that's not, it's not like an average family can't do that. And at some point we're going to run out of viable used options too, which during the pandemic, there were almost no used vehicles available. So anyways, it's just, honestly, it's a mess. And it's probably not going to get better anytime soon. And I saw a bunch of headlines today, too. I'm like, it's funny because I only have a few other things written down. But this is all just like things that I forgot to write down. I saw a bunch of headlines talking about how inflation is much higher than they expected it to be. And it appears to be climbing. Yeah. Okay. We know. And again, people use the word inflation interchangeably with price gouging, okay? Like there has been a significant amount of price gouging. Companies that are raising their prices that frankly don't have to, but they're taking advantage of the situation. And I do think that Trump is trying to get ahead of that because he knows that if the foreign auto companies raise their prices, domestic auto companies are going to say, well, we might as well raise our prices too, because we can still undercut them a little bit and make additional profit. And he's telling them that they can't do that. I don't know what authority he has to tell them they can't do that. And isn't that socialism? Like, isn't that what you guys fucking hate? Like, what is happening? That's something that, you know, a socialist country could probably control. Actually, yes, like in China, they actually tell grocery stores, like, you can't charge more than X, Y, and Z for these things because poor people have to be able to afford food. Which, frankly, I fucking agree with. Like, I'm sorry. One of two things has to happen. Either people need access to jobs that pay enough to buy your fucking outrageously priced bullshit, or you have to control the price of basic needs, like housing. You can't have it both ways, or society falls apart. But it's too late because society is already falling apart. So anyways, after that very long rant, just to remind you that yes, the FCC commissioner is investigating Disney and ABC for diversity politics. They're making a really huge stand on saying that, like, this is discrimination against white men. Okay, cool story. Speaking of which, the U.S. Naval Academy is ending affirmative action admissions. And again, you know, they're trying to recreate, I mean, honestly, like the antebellum South or something. I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. I mean, I know what they're doing, but I don't know, like, ultimately, it really does seem like the image that they're trying to create here is something similar to The Handmaid's Tale. I don't remember The Handmaid's Tale being heavily focused on race, but I do, obviously it's a big part of it here. And one other story that I forgot to write down that is a really fucking important story is that they just arrested a woman for a miscarriage. Yes, for a miscarriage. She didn't call the police fast enough to report, what are they calling it? Something about, like, hiding a body. I'm dead serious. Because she didn't call the police fast enough to report the miscarriage. I think it's in Texas. Obviously, that tracks. It's either Texas or maybe it's Tennessee. Anyways, we live in a nightmare. All right, we'll do the other Texas story just really quick, since it's literally just one sentence, that the measles cases in Texas are now up to 400. And the reason that that's really bad is because the measles are insanely contagious, to the point where, just in case you don't remember me saying this before, if someone coughs in a room that has measles, leaves that room, and someone else walks into the same room 2 hours later, the measles are so contagious that you can catch measles just from that interaction, which isn't an interaction. And so, you know, there was like some fucking dude that went to the gym with measles. I'm not even kidding. You know, and people are dying, dude. I think there's a couple deaths. I think there's been several deaths now from it. And I know it's in 4 other states too, besides Texas. So, I mean, I saw that there was a case in Michigan already. Yeah, I mean, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. This is the last story tonight, and it's so messed up, and I'd like to look into it a little bit more deeply. I'm, like, very, very curious about the legal implications, and I'll probably text my friends that are lawyers to ask them about this, but this is wild. This seems really illegal to me. So Elon Musk sold X, okay? He sold X to himself. He sold X to his XAI company. So he created this AI company and he sold X for $33 billion to himself, to this other company. Doesn't this just like seem like a tax shelter or something? And his statement about it is that he's going to blend XAI's AI capability with X's massive reach, which also sounds really dystopian. What do you mean? You know what I mean? Like, I really don't want a crazy supervillain. You okay, Snackle? She's got a hairball. I have a hairball in my soul. Yeah, I mean, there's literally a supervillain carrying out the plot of some really dystopian... It's not just one, it's a lot of supervillains carrying out the plot of every dystopian novel and movie all simultaneously. Which I really need to finish reading Parable of the Sower. If you haven't heard of it, people keep saying, like, this isn't the plot of 1984, this is the plot of Parable of the Sower, or this isn't the plot of Handmaid's Tale, it's the plot of Parable of the Sower. I've read the first couple of chapters. It's by Octavia Butler. I actually have the graphic novel version, which is really cool. And it is, you know, I don't want to, like, give anything away. I'll just say that, like, people have to live in gated communities. There's not a lot of food available. Yeah. I could totally see it heading in this way. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great Friday. I didn't have any funny... I didn't tell you a funny story. I'm doing such a bad job of that. I know people keep asking me, tell you a funny story. I don't know. Nothing's funny. I mean, there's funny things. I just don't know what they are. But I'll see you guys tomorrow. Love you. Have a good night.